Hello everyone, welcome to Dow Nifty. Today in this video we'll talk about Yes Bank's FPO listing on 27 July and we'll try to form an opinion whether we should buy, hold or sell our holdings. So we'll talk about a brief history of Yes Bank's rise and fall. We'll see the negative and positive points. We'll look at the fundamentals of Yes Bank, technical charts, what they are telling us, and I'll show you my trades that I took back in March and also form an opinion. So what went wrong at Yes Bank? Okay, this is the question most asked by many of the investors who have invested at very higher rates in Yes Bank. It was a Nifty 50 stock. It was doing so well. So what went wrong? So first, let's see how the Yes Bank was made to be a successful story. Now, when the market was down, just focus over here. When the market was down in 2008, none of the banks were feeling good to give loans. Okay, now all the major banks were folding their hands when borrowers were coming at their doorstep to get loans for bailing them out of the debt. It was only Mr. Rana Kapoor and only Yes Bank who was opening their doors for such borrowers, and he himself used to steer such deals and loans based on his conditions. Okay, now this worked out really well for the Yes Bank and he became the lender of choice. Okay, now just imagine when you are in distress, when you are in problem, if somebody bails you out of that problem, and when your business grows, you will definitely form a very good relationship with the person, and then it would work in his favor to get the future business as well. One of the talked about stories was there was one shipping company who was in debt. He wanted 3.5 billion and Mr. Rana Kapoor offered him 5 billion. Now he started a model that he used to give them money, but he used to ask for 10% of the loan amount as an upfront fee. Okay, now you can imagine that if you are already in distress, you have no other choice but to go for such deals, because you are still getting that 90% money which you really need. Okay, now this was not a bad business model. He lent and he also knew the tricks to recover. Now one of the good points about Mr. Rana Kapoor was that he was the only bank who was able to recover loans from Deccan Chronicle Holdings and Vijay Mallya. But then what happened as the time passed by, 2008 to 2015 were golden years of Yes Bank. Even if you see the chart that we'll see in the upcoming slides, even if you see the charts from 2008 to 15, there was an exponential rise in the shares of Yes Bank. It entered Nifty 50. It went up right from a couple of 20 rupees stock to almost 400 rupees stock. And then post 2015 till 2018 or 19, that's the time when its top borrowers were all defaulting, and there was a time, I mean, they were, by the end of 2017-18, he had 25 top borrowers in his list who were defaulting, who were probable NPA candidates. So one of the industry experts, he mentioned that Mr. Kapoor met Uday Kotak, the boss of Kotak Mahindra Bank, for potential investment, and Mr. Uday Kotak straight away rejected that and backed off from investing by looking at the top 25 borrowers of Kotak, Yes Bank. Now let's look at some of the negative points. Now, as you know, MD and CEO, the top boss of Yes Bank, he was also the co-founder of Yes Bank, and as we saw in the history, if Mr. Rana Kapoor, the top person, if he is accused of taking bribes, then God save the company, right? Even his successor, Mr. Ravneet Gill, who was appointed back in March 2019, he acknowledged that financial situation of Yes Bank was in distress when the time he was appointed to the helm. Okay, then there were his teammates who were saying that poor compliance culture and centralization of power was one of the reasons for the downfall of Yes Bank. There were the objections and issues raised by the risk assessment team before giving any loans were overruled by none other than Mr. Rana Kapoor. And long list of NPA had very big company names like ADAC company of Anil Ambani, DHFL, SL, etc. So among the negative, what are some of the positive points which have worked or which have happened in the recent past? Now, as we know, like many of these events happened in just past concluded quarter. In the month of March, RBI stepped in. It dissolved the entire board and appointed Mr. Prashant Kumar at the helm. There is an ED probe which is going on Mr. Rana Kapoor and also the defaulters of Yes Bank to recover NPA. There is the target that they are going to recover 8 to 10,000 crore rupees by 2021, which will further boost the cash reserves of Yes Bank. Now, 10,000 crore funding were raised by investments by SBI and other private banks. We'll check in next slide what is the status of those investment. And in the recent FPO, there is 14,000 crore rupees which were further raised by this FPO recently. Now, another thing which is a positive for Yes Bank in maybe like next 1 or 2 years is the lock-in of 75% stake of those holders who have more than 100 share as on 13th March 2020. Now, the thing why I'm calling this as the positive point is in the subsequent years ahead, there will be less liquidity in Yes Bank because of this step. So you can only sell off those 25% stake. So you cannot sell off the 100% stake, and hence there will be less liquidity. No lock-in period for FPO shareholders. Now this is again a positive point because there were more prospective investors who were lined up at that time in March, but after hearing the news about the lock-in for 3 years and right now the balance sheets are completely screwed up, so they don't want to invest without having a confidence on the growth story of Yes Bank. So if the lock-in is lifted, if new shareholders are allowed to shares their stakes, they have the option to sell their stakes after a year or something when they don't see the projected growth not happening, then it's a good point for new prospective investors to step in. And then SBI has also told that within 6 months it will have another round of meeting to discuss second round of funding if it is needed. Okay, so these are some of the positive points which are lined up for future trading of Yes Bank. Now, as I told, let's look at the status of the top 8 investors, the private banks who invested in Yes Bank. Now, this total was 10,000 crore rupees. Okay. Now, as you can see, out of the 8, 1, 2, 3 banks, Kotak, Federal and IDFC First Bank, they sold this much stake. Okay. They had the liberty to sell. They had the liberty to sell 25% of these stakes, but still they didn't utilize their entire liberty. They just sold 9%, 19% and 16% of their stakes. But still majority of the investor who were top banks like HDFC, ICI, they held on to their investment. They didn't sell anything. Okay. Now this will hold a key factor when I'll go to the technical chart. Just keep in mind about this column that none of the major lenders, the top lenders like 6,000, 1,000, 1,000, 8,000 crore, they didn't sell any of their stake. Okay. So this will work in our favor when we discuss about future prospects of Yes Bank. Now, looking at the fundamentals, if you look at the income statement, you should check here profit before taxes, they are in negative. If you see in last 5 years, they were all in positive, but suddenly in 2020 it's in negative. Then the net profit is also in negative, like 16,000 crore. All these figures are in crore, guys. So the profitability has gone down like anything. Now let's look at the balance sheet. The main thing to look here is deposits. Okay, see the deposits, where it was in March 2016, where it is in March 2020. Now even if you compare last 5 years, it's at the lowest point right now. As you know, like bank needs deposit in order to lend the money from which it is going to make income. And even the reserves and surplus, see the status of reserves and surplus, they were rising. They were rising from 16 to 17, 17 to 18, and then March 2019. But now it has fallen drastically to 19,000 crores. And the most important thing is gross NPA and net NPA. If you see the amount of gross NPA and net NPA, you just see this. I mean, back in 2016, it was just 1%. And now just see 17% are the non-profitable assets. Okay, so this is very huge for the bank. I mean, even in single digit, if it rises to 3 or 4%, it comes to the eye, but now it is 17%. And the capital adequacy ratio, this is like capital by the risk assets. So you can see, I mean, capital adequacy ratio was doing well for all these years, but now it is at 9, meaning either the capital has reduced or the risk assets have increased. Now, as we can see through gross NPAs and net NPAs, that it's the other way around. The riskier assets have increased over the years, which is why we have a low capital adequacy ratio. Now, another thing to look at is the financial ratio. Now, EPS, the earning per share, there is no earning. Rather, it's down by 56 So you can see like where it was back in 2016, the earnings were 60 rupees per share. Now the earnings are 56 rupees per share. I mean, these are values are in crores, so I'm just saying it. March 2016 it was 60, now it is 56. So you can see from where in last 5 years Yes Bank has come to. And then if you also look at the book value, this is 17 right now. The share price is trading below the book value, and all these years if you see, the book value was pretty healthy. Now the share price is trading below the book price. This is also one of the positive things which will work in our favor as we discuss and try to form an opinion in the next slide. Let's look at some of the technical analysis. Let's look at the chart. Now, friends, this is the daily chart which I have opened on Yes Bank. I mean, if you want to read the charts, Zerodha is a good app to have your trading account with. If you still haven't opened a trading account, link is there in the description. You can go there and you can open a trading account with Zerodha. So see over here, this is March. Okay, back in March, this was the time when the Yes Bank share dipped to almost single digit. It was, I think the low was formed at 5.6 rupees per share. Okay, this was the time when RBI stepped in and it injected a lot of capital, and as we saw in the earlier slide, there were 10,000 crore rupees which were raised by multiple banks combined. And where did the price go? It shot up to almost 87. Okay, in just 7-8 trading session, from 5 rupees per share it almost shot up to 87. After that, what happened? As we saw, like there were three banks who shared this who sold their stakes. So when they sold their stakes, it came down drastically. Now friends, one important thing to note here is there were buyers at 40 rupees. There were buyers at, I mean, I'm talking about the retail buyers like you and me. There were buyers at 40, 50, 60, 70. Now just imagine, I mean, for a retail buyer, they have very less money and they are always fearful in the market. So when you buy at 40, 50, 60 rupees per share and the share comes to 5 or 6 rupees, they will be just like crying. I mean, my money is lost, my entire capital is lost. So when the share rose to 70, 80 levels, every one of them sold their stakes. Mind it, every one of them sold their stakes. And later on, when they were not able to sell it beyond 25%, the share price was trading at a stable price of 25 to 30 rupees band. And recently over here, what happened? This was the time when the FPO announcement came and the pricing of FPO was placed at 12 to 13 rupees band. Now, as I told you initially, there were a lot of other lenders. There were 4 to 5 banks who didn't exercise their right to sell the 25% stake. What happened? Why this sudden dip happened? Because all the bankers, all the banks who were having some margin left to sell off their 25% stake, they sold off their 25% stake. Even many people, many retail buyers who bought at lower values of 15 rupees, 12 rupees, 16 rupees, they booked their profit at this time, and then they will be buying in the 10 rupees, 12 rupees zone when it trades on Monday. And even if you look at the RSI chart, this is relative strength index. I will be talking about all these things in my future videos. What is RSI, what is MACD, what is Bollinger Band, how the candlestick is to be read. But for now, let's just read the chart. So the relative strength index says the share is in very oversold territory. I mean, even in March, if you see, it just hit the 30-point mark, okay, and it bounced back from there. But now if you see, it is trading at 13. Relative strength index is trading at 13, and even the share price is at almost 13 rupees, right? MACD, again, MACD is showing bearishness in the stock. So let's look at, there is another way to check where, there is another way to look at the technical charts and draw an opinion, which is multiple time frame analysis. Now again, don't be too finicky about the terms I am using. I'll be sharing educational videos on all these terms. So the technical chart I showed here was 1 day frequency, and now the one I am showing you over here is 1 month frequency. Now when I put the technical chart of 1 month frequency, you can see the last time it was trading at such relative strength index was back in 2008-9, right? See this just below this 2008, 2009, 2010. Last time Yes Bank was trading at such low strength was back in 2008 and 9. And at that time it was a financial crisis. So most of the institutes, most of the companies, banks, everything was trading at very low prices. Today the prices, the 10 rupees, 12 rupees, all these prices that Yes Bank is trading at, today it is trading at prices which was there in 2008 or 9, 10, 12 years back. Okay, so what I want to show over here is after 10, 12 years, again it is trading at relative strength index of 30 and below, which is an oversold territory. And as I told you, I mean, the banks which entered Yes Bank, they entered at 10 rupees per share. So friends, I think that Yes Bank is not going to come down to single digit once more. It will find buyers at 10 rupees. Because it found buyers over here, just imagine, I mean, the companies who sold their shares with the announcement of FPO, the retailers like you and me, who sold their shares at 25, 24, 20 rupees per share recently, they are all going to buy double their shares in 12 rupees or 10 rupees, isn't it? Now let's look at my trade and what opinion do I have. Okay, on 6th of March, I was lucky to get Yes Bank at these prices. I mean, less than 10 rupees per share. And if you see over here, how much did I invest? Because the bank was not good, it was just a speculative bet. I invested only 15,000 rupees. That's it. That's my risk capacity. I don't want to lose more than that. It's just peanut amount for me. And I just invested 15,000 rupees. When the Yes Bank share was rising, in just 11 days, it went to 60 rupees. Okay, now how I found a good value at 60 rupees. I thought like 60 rupees is good enough. It is trading a lot higher in such short span of time. This was unbelievable run. So what I did, I sold off my 25% stake entirely and I booked profit. I got 30,000 rupees. So just see how I played it. I invested 15,000. I sold off my 25% of stake and I doubled my entire investment. Now the 1500 shares that I'm holding of Yes Bank, they are bonus to me. I don't care whether it goes to 0, 4, 5. I don't care. I already invested 15,000. I got my money back. I doubled my money and got it back. But now just imagine, I mean, for traders like me, I'll be thinking of buying it again at 10 to 12 rupees price band. I think on Monday it can fall a little more, 1 or 2 rupees more, but it will definitely find buyers in this band. So my opinion at last would be it's Yes Bank is a buy for now, and if you want to hold it for some time like 6 to 7 months, definitely it is going to trade above its book value of 17, 18 rupees. So you can have some positional trade for 2 quarters, and I would advise that you sell some of these stakes at 20 rupees price band and above. And beyond that, if you want to hold it based on your risk capacity, because the fundamentals are still not good, and you would first want to, before making any further investments or before making any big investments like 1 lakh, 2 lakh, or based on your capacity, you have to first see whether the direction, whether the future projections which the new leaders are giving for Yes Bank, are they able to meet that or not? Are they able to clean up the balance sheet? Are they able to make the bank profitable yet again? Are they able to win the trust of the prospective investors or not? So that we will see in upcoming quarters. If the bank is moving in the right direction, then yes, at that time you can invest a higher amount. So friends, I think this was quite useful to all. Do share your comments. What do you feel about my analysis? And if you like my content, please do like my video, share and subscribe.